Well, the Royals are calling up top slugger Jac Caglianone. What are the reactions Chris and I have to this move, and what does it mean for the Royals? We discuss all that next here on the KCSA Pod.
It was good, y'all. It's your boy JD6 here. I'm with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man.
Well, love it or hate it, the Royals have called up top prospect Jac Caglianone, baseball's number 10 prospect. As of this time, this is the day of the official move, the June 3rd, where we get to see Caglianone in a Royals uniform for the first time, called up. And Chris and I, we got to give our reactions to this move first off, and then talk a little bit about how that could impact the Royals, what other moves it could lead to, what kind of expectations we have for him, not just the excitement we're going to have of seeing him at the plate, but what it could mean for the squad moving forward. But Christopher Tenpenny, Keegan Russell here on the KC Sports Authority podcast. Make sure you guys, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe button below. Give us a thumbs up on this video if you're a supporter of the Royals, a big fan of what Jac Caglianone is going to be, so that other Royals fans like yourself can find this video. You can also listen to us on Spotify, where you can give the podcast a follow, give us a 5-star review, and you can also hit us up on any of our social medias at KCSA Pod. Well, Chris, we've been talking about it off air for weeks now on when this move is going to happen. Initially we thought this was going to be way later in the summer, and he has looked quite well in Double-A and has looked really good in Triple-A. Happened a lot quicker than I think both you and I were predicting, but it is June 3rd, and Jac Caglianone is going to be in a Royals Major League uniform. First game tonight against the cross-state rivals in the St. Louis Cardinals. So initial reactions from you, Chris, on this mega move by the Royals.
When Passan announced it on, what was that, late on the 1st at like 10 p.m., my first thought, and I even sent this to you, it was like, this move reeks of desperation, but I am here for all the desperation because that is what the Royals offense has forced the organization to do. Again, that's not an indictment on Cags. Like, I don't want to act like he doesn't deserve or hasn't been doing well and doing everything they've asked of him. But like, you only do this if you have no other options within the organization, and they don't. They gotten rid of Melendez down to AAA. They let go of Renfroe. Massey is starting to play less. Indy is now a second all-time. Like, they're doing all these things, and sorry, Rave and Lofton, like, great. I hope they stick. Waters, I'm glad you're hitting for somewhat of an average. They're not going to do anything to change this offense like Jac Caglianone can. So it's a little desperate to call him up this quick, but that's desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, the Royals have the second least amount of runs scored in
The
Major
Rockies
League
don't
Baseball.
count as a franchise, so they have the lowest.
Okay, so at one, haven't even broken the 200 mark. This team's still 2 games above 500 coming into this matchup, of course, with the Cardinals. But I mean, it's been obvious this team desperately needs some offense. Most of the games we have seen them lose this year, they have been until the very end of it because their pitching has just continued to dominate. Top 5 rotation in all of baseball, top 5 bullpen probably in all of baseball. But this lineup just can't get it done. You've got Michael Garcia doing his thing. You've got Bobby Witt Jr. doing his thing. You've got the occasional bat from Kyle Isbell right now, who's playing above expectations for him, hitting way better than he needs to. Drew Waters has been decent in outfield, but this team just can't score runs. Vinny and Salvi have continued to struggle. Vinny's heating up a little bit as of late, but they're still not putting runs on the board. And there weren't many options out there. Trade market, free agency, AAA. You brought up John Rave, hasn't done anything yet. Michael Massey hasn't done anything, and you don't really have an option to replace him that you trust to hit right away. You already said with Melendez not going. Renfroe gone. This was really the only other move. It's probably way sooner than the Royals wanted to, but like you said, they are desperate. I mean, they have the worst offense in baseball.
They have no power. That's what it comes down to, is that they're last in home runs by a wide margin, and still a fifth of those home runs came in that one random night at Baltimore when they hit like 7 of them. You take that away, and it's like it's even worse than already being the worst in the league. Like, it's insane. So, like you said, like, there's some guys doing okay. Like, you even said Vinny's not really playing that well. Well, he hit 350 in May, but
Yes.
it didn't come with a lot of power. Like, there's just no one that's hitting the gaps, and he still leads this team with 8 home runs by a wide margin. So, like,
And I think half of those are in like the last 3 weeks, maybe.
yeah, something like that. Like, it's just there's no thump outside of Bobby stretching a double, or Vinny getting into one, and it's like, other than that, it's slim pickings. Like, everyone's banging on India. His numbers are not that much different as far as the average and the on base percentage, but the pop is gone. There's no doubles, there's no homers. Part of that's the ballpark, going from Cincinnati to Kansas City, but like, I don't know what happened to this entire teams, but it's just been zapped. Like, they had 9 hits in both games and scored a combined 1 run over 18 hits in the final 2 games against the Tigers. So, like, I don't know what it is, but Cags, he could come up and hit $190, but he's gonna run into some extra base hits, and that's a team that does not have it.
Yeah. Desperately needs it. And again, he's looked good in minor league to start the year. Obviously, double A and triple A pitchers. He was mashing in double A, got moved through pretty quick, made it to triple A. And I mean, you and I were talking over that course of time that, how many games does he get in triple A? We both were like, it's probably at least a good month and a half to 2 months before, it could be All-Star break. It could be before the trade deadline. And here we are, 8 games into his triple A experience. I think it's 8 games.
I think it
And
was
he's
officially 12, but yeah.
12. Okay. He's got like 6 home runs. I mean, the numbers are incredible. Again,
Mhm.
triple A pitching, double A pitching. But it felt like this move had to happen way sooner than you wanted to. I mean, the Royals are going to cost themselves some money by starting that clock earlier. They
Not in
could have
my mind.
waited 2 more weeks and they'd be saving themselves a couple $1 million, but you had to do it. You needed some juice. You didn't want to bring Cags up if you were 4 or 5 games under 500. 2 games above 500 right now. Big series this week against the Cardinals, big series against the Yankees next week. You might as well get him up here and get him those at bats. But I guess before we get into expectations, the corresponding move was Darwin Blanco being sent down.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that being the guy? Was he your first pick, second pick, third pick? What did you think was gonna happen there?
Yeah, I actually was one of the few that had no issue with it. I guess I didn't. I kind of thought it was going to be Blanco or Massey. It just depended on what they wanted to do with Massey. The Blanco one didn't surprise me because I saw Rave come up and saw Rave run, and I was like, oh dang! And I went and looked at Baseball Savant. And he's in the 95th percentile of speed. So like, you're bringing up a lefty that's going to play some right field and CAG. So like, Rave can kind of switch a little bit to that pinch runner role on days he's not playing. And then if all things necessary, you have Tolbert, who I think Blanco's run his course. I mean, he was fun last year. He's 31 years old, and Tolbert down on the minors can do the same thing and play twice as many positions. So, like,
Yeah.
I had if they weren't ready to send Massey down, which they probably should, but if they didn't want to pull that trigger, Blanco was the correct choice.
Yeah, I think it made sense. I didn't like it at first because I'm thinking, well, Blanco at least provides you something on the base paths. He provides a threat, and he's decent as a bat option against lefties. He can run into a couple of hits here and there. But you were kind of getting into this log jam with Nick Lofton being up here. You weren't sitting him back down. He's your super utility, and can play both corner outfield spots. Kyle
looked good too.
He's been pretty solid in that. Now with India playing a little bit more second base, it just the way things were shifting around, you had to identify if you're going to bring Cags up, and we'll get into this. If he's playing every day, you got to have one of 3 spots available: right field, first base, DH. So if he's going to play right field more frequently, someone's got to be the odd man out. You probably are still going to keep Can up for a while because he's got the veteran experience. Good bat off the bench. Blanco did kind of feel like the odd man out. So I didn't like it at first because I do think he provides a nice little threat there. But in reality, Blanco's base stealing is not doing anything to get this team wins because they just can't get any hits. So they got to have some power.
Well, it's
And
another desperation thing
that.
too with Blanco is like you've seen it in like 2 pitches later, he's gone every single time. Like I know that's his thing and like teams are aware of it, but there's not even a cat and mouse with it anymore. It's just Blanco's on 1, maybe 2 pitches, and he's going.
Everybody knows he's gone. Yeah.
Like it's just they're so desperate for a run to score runs that even their pinch runner that's really fast and did a really good job of it last year, like wasn't working. So yeah, they just had to sacrifice that for more pop.
So let's get into a little bit of expectations here. Royals are 2 games above 500 as of now. They've got obviously the series with St. Louis starting tonight. We'll get the lineup later today, see where Cags is going to be, and I guess we'll start there. First off, I guess this first lineup that we'll see him in. Where do you think he's going to be in the lineup? What do you think that lineup looks like?
I'd be shocked if he didn't hit 5th. I think that's just the most natural place to put him. Especially with this lineup. It depends on Michael. Like, I know he had a little bit of a wrist thing that had him as a late scratch Sunday. So depending on how he's feeling, maybe he bats 6th because they put Michael in front of him, because I don't think Michael's taken into a spot yet from the leadoff spot. So that's kind of 5-6 range. But after that, it should be some version of Palente's a righty, so it'll probably be Waters, Massey, Isbell rounding it out. But yeah, I think that's a decent spot for him, 5th or 6th.
If you're Matty Q and the Royals coaching regime, are you DHing him or are you throwing him in the field for his first chance at the big leagues?
Yeah, I think I'm playing him first, because that could be a lot on a hitter to where, his first, say Bobby gets a single and Vinny works a walk and he comes up with 2 on 2 outs and he strikes out. He just has to sit there at the end of the inning to, his first AB. Like that very well could happen, and then just sit and watch until his next time up. Like, I don't want that to happen at all. Let him go out to the field,
get his feet wet.
Yeah, and be out there and let Vinny DH, and I think that would be the best plan of attack.
Yeah, I like that. Get him some action early. Put him in his natural position where he's the most comfortable.
Because
Vinny DH.
He could, who knows what happens with these debuts. The most random things happen to the most random levelist prospects. But like, if he goes 0 for 4 with 2 Ks, like there's nothing, and he DH, there's nothing to hang his hat on. If he does that and he played first and he had a nice pick play and he had a nice toss to the pitcher cover, and like there's little things that you can come away feeling good. I think that's really important for a 22-year-old to feel, even as simple as it may seem to us.
Yeah, 100% agree. Make it as easy as possible. Give him some run in the field. I like that. I don't really care where he bats in the lineup right now. I think, where could he end up is a conversation we could have. It probably feels like if Garcia's playing 5th or 6th, one of those 2 flips, maybe Garcia goes to the 6th because they can use him as a second leadoff guy later in the innings. Where do I think he could end up? Depending on how well he's hitting early, and maybe this isn't until next year, but maybe him and Vinny are kind of a flip-flop and Cags becomes your 3-hole because you get your 2 guys on right away and Cags has the best power. I mean, he right now, he's already the best power hitter in this franchise.
No, not even close.
Just with the raw ability. We've seen everything from Pete Alonso stereotypes to Shohei Ohtani light, just because of the frame and the hitting capabilities. So we've seen a lot of comparisons with what he can be with his true raw power. And if that's the case, you got to give him some at bats, especially if Vinny's power numbers are down, Salvi's not running into home runs. You got to have some run producers if Bobby and Indy are getting on. But expectation for game 1 / maybe, how many games should we give Cags before we start to question the move, praise the move, or, how long of a leash should he get before we can really evaluate him being up here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in my mind, like, I'm already praising him for it. He could hit under 100 and have MJ Melendez like numbers. And I think it was what they had to do. It was the last card in their hand. Like, they already, like we talked about, got rid of the Super 2 factor. They're going to have to pay him more in like 4 years than they would.
Which you're fine with if he pans out how he is expected
if he pans out. So, like, again, I don't really know, even if this goes south, as I can be too mad at him because he has the numbers to produce. He did it in spring training. He did it at AA. He did it at AAA. Like, he was your top prospect. There's 2 other guys in his class already doing a decent job in the majors, and Cam Smith down in Houston and Nick Kurtz in Oakland, or not Oakland, but in Sacramento on the Athletics. So like I think there's all the
Wherever they play.
yeah, I think there's all the factors there to where like even if he struggles mightily, I don't think there's a way I'm bashing the move at all.
Do you see any scenario where he goes back down this year? Or
It would have
is this a move for the rest of the season?
I think it's a move for the rest of he would have to be doing like what MJ Melendez was doing to get back sit down. I think he's too strong of a hitter to really do that. Now, I say that, but if he's just getting straight changeups and sliders and he's chasing them, okay, maybe he needs to, I don't even know. Like maybe he needs to
Well,
go back.
we just haven't seen him do enough
Yeah,
against that kind
exactly,
of
exactly.
pitching.
I would imagine that over his 2 weeks in AAA that, that he was getting similar style pitches from borderline major league pitchers, like, and he was still performing well. So I don't really know, but that's my only concern is that, some of these elite guys are going to get him. Luckily for him, like the Palente kid isn't bad for the Cardinals going today, but like he's nothing special. I mean, he's slightly better than some of the young guys you would see at AAA. So that's a good opening test.
Yeah,
Is
he's gonna face some good competition over the
yeah,
first 2 weeks here. So that, like, for me, that's what I'm giving him. Let's go 2 weeks. Excitement, whatever it may be. Let's just watch him play for the next 2 weeks. Be grateful that he's here. Hope that he runs into a couple things here and there. I mean, if he hits home run game 1, plate appearance 1, which, by the way, I am betting. I will definitely, as those
I don't know
odds
if he's going to see
actually,
a strike plate appearance one.
as those odds actually come out, you will see me betting first plate appearance home run. You will also see me bet anytime home run. Oh, and by the way, I did, like hopefully most of you, as soon as that conversation was heating up and got to AAA, I put a 40-1 odd on him for AL Rookie of the Year. At that time, he was like 18th on the list. Since the call up, he has dropped all the way down to second shortest odds for AL Rookie of the Year, and he hasn't even had an at bat yet. And we are what, almost halfway through the season, a little over
Yeah,
the
60
quarter of the
games in.
yeah. So I cashed, or I'm hoping to cash that in at the end of the year. That'll be a big payout. But yeah, I'm not going to put much on him the first 2 weeks. After we get through the first 2 weeks, see how he's looking, then I think we can ramp up the conversation of what can we get from him down the stretch. In reality, do I think he's going to be the savior of this offense? I don't know. There's still some holes. One guy's not going to fill that. You still need Vinny. You still need Salvi to produce, and you need one of those guys in the bottom of the lineup, or two of the four in the bottom of the lineup, 6 through 9, to consistently do something every other game. So I don't have expectations of him coming in and magically making the Royals go from worst runs scored in baseball to average over the next month or two. I also don't expect them to jump up the leaderboards in home runs anytime soon. But the raw power is certainly there, and he's more than capable of having that type of impact right away.
Yeah, and hopefully that it's a threat, someone you circle in the lineup, really past Bobby. You aren't doing that a lot. Like again, I know Michael and Vinny are doing okay on averages more recently. I mean, Michael all year, but like they haven't scared you with the pop again, even though Vinny's getting there a little bit.
Yeah, they're
But
not guys you pitch around.
you want even if Cags comes up, it would be great if he hit 260 and was hovering around an 800 OPS and was on, a 10 to 20 homer pace over 100 games. Like that would all be great. But like I just need him to hit 220, not be a walking strikeout and be a threat to hit, a homer or a double. Like this lineup doesn't have that right now. And so again, it would be great if he looked like a Rookie of the Year, but he doesn't really need to be that to be a big plus for this offense.
Okay, let me throw some predictions at you then.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up the Cags conversation with a hypothetical button game as far as what his career could be. Let's say Cags is up here for the remainder of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Over under 15 home runs.
Yeah, that's tough. That was my line. I'm going to say over because I want him to be on like a 30 home run pace, and so
Sure.
I think he's going to hit that 18 mark if he.
Okay. Over under 40 RBIs.
I'm going to say over, but not for the reason you think, but because I think that Salvy's going to end up moving to the 6th spot and they're going to get someone like a Taylor Ward, like,
Sure.
a right-handed bat to put in that 4 spot ahead of him. So now you've got Bobby Vinny and the trade acquisition hitting ahead of
Okay.
Cags.
Okay.
So the opportunity should be there.
Over under 225 batting average.
That's a great line.
And for the record, I would take I'm comfortable, like you said earlier, if he bats under 225, I think he can still impact enough.
Yeah, I'm going to give him over because he puts the ball in play and Kaufman's so spacious.
Sure.
He's going to get some flare singles and stuff.
Who in this lineup do you think benefits the most from Cags being in that lineup?
Oh, Vinny and Salvy, no questions asked.
Who is negatively impacted the most by the addition of Cags?
Nobody really. I mean, I guess if you feel a type of way about John Rave, like, sure, he's not going to get any ABs, but I think Waters has done more than enough to prove that he's going to be your left or right fielder against righties. So, like, nobody that you care about really feels negative.
Yeah, the one I was going to throw at you, which we can talk about here in a second too, is I think Michael Massey's probably impacted the most.
Yeah, but
Massey's
he hasn't done
continuing to slide down.
People
Different
already want him in
positions.
the minor, so like it didn't even cross my mind to like.
If anything, I think it might speed up the timeline of him. He's probably the next move down. Cam Devaney comes up. Peyton Wilson comes up. Something like that.
Yeah, it would not shock me if in the lineup today that Massey's not in left and it's Rave and Waters in the corners with Cags at first and Vinny DH
and then India at second.
Yeah, and then India's only played second or DH since May 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I
like that. I mean, that's what we've been.
I think that dream is dead. So,
yeah, which I'm all for that. They have better. Not that the outfield options have been great, but they have enough there now with the way Drew Waters is playing that they don't have to. I mean, again, if Massey was hitting 260 above 300 OBP and he's getting the occasional pop, yeah, you're probably finding a way to put one of them in left field once or twice a week. But the way it's going now, there's no reason to it. Realistic shot though at him finishing top 3 AL Rookie of the Year.
As someone that put money on Jacob Wilson to start the year, I'm kind of in a unique position because it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, Wilson and Kurtz, they're getting a lot of that love.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Wilson. Just his bat to ball skills, it's a fun player. But anyway,
hit a home run last night.
There is 100% a shot. Now again, Wilson plays in the ballpark. He has the head start. The Wilson kid really isn't a power hitter, but because the ball flies in Sacramento, that those numbers are up, which is perfect for Rookie of the Year. But Jack has the name recognition. Everyone loves Bobby already, and that if he starts hitting some homers, like, I mean, Skeens won it a lot, or went on his run because of the All-Star game and kind of what he did last year. Around this time, he only came up about 2 weeks earlier than this. So, like, if Gags has a similar impact in his first month, he's like hit 8 to 10 homers in like a 4 to 5 week span, which I know is crazy, but like not. I mean, he just hit 6 in 2 weeks in AAA, so like not impossible. Gets on that radar and then kind of maintains it. And Wilson falls off a little bit, he could 100% take it because it's a weaker class overall. There's not a ton of guys screaming at you.
What would you say to the fan that is not in favor of the midseason call-up, that's doubting this move or saying, hey, this is going to ruin his development? What's kind of your response to that fan to get them to maybe feel a little bit more optimistic that this is the right move?
Yeah, I think that they're confusing this player with a Mondesi, with a Prado, with an MJ, even these kids that we've seen that maybe not MJ, but definitely Mondesi and Prado that were talked about so much and came up and just never put it together. So, and we blame the development. I think a lot of that actually comes down to the maturity. Those were young. They didn't play college ball. They'd never dealt with the limelight. Jack has been the guy for the last 2 years in college baseball. Like he is used to the fame. He is used for the struggles. He's used to the heckling. He's used to the attention. He's used to all of it. So like that part is such a big shock to these 18-year-olds who are just been rocking the minors and then all of a sudden they're in the majors. Like, I think you have to treat these college kids differently and trust that, hey, these numbers mean something, not only in the ASCC, but also in what he did in AA and AAA, that even if he has he is a terrible 4 months, that he's not going to go into that offseason feeling quite as defeated as some of those other prospects we've seen, and he could turn it around. So I don't think there was anything else for him to learn in the minors. I think he's seen it all. And the scariest thing for me is the mental game, and I think he's more well equipped with his background as a college baseball player.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I think that there's always a risk. I mean, it's baseball. There's always a risk with these prospects coming up. But we've also sat here and said, how many times have these other teams fast tracked their prospect and it's worked out? Why doesn't it work out for the Royals? Well, now we're going to get a front row seat to Jac Caglianone getting real at bats starting today. So let's end the Cags conversation with a little hypothetical button game. Really, just one question. It's you can either lock into this stat line I'm about to give you for the next X amount of time, or you can choose to, run the table and let the potential take over. So if I can tell you right now, you could lock in the next 7 seasons of Jac Caglianone averaging 25 home runs a season, 100 RBIs, 250 average. Would you take that or let the potential ride and see if he can outperform that?
Dude, I'm locking that in immediately. I mean, that puts him at 175 homers, right? Like that puts him like 4th all time in Royals history. So like maybe I'm a little low on that number, but it's like Brett and Salvi. Gordon's like 5th or 6th, and he didn't even get to 200. So like it puts him up there over a 7-game stretch. So 7-year stretch. So yeah, I'm locking that in immediately. That guy is making 2 to 3 All-Stars and maybe never really in the MVP race, but he's a guy everyone knows in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm going to post that one on Twitter too, because I'd be curious to see the responses. Because the potential,
Yeah.
the power potential is 40 plus.
Right.
Easily it's there. How long can he do it?
Yeah. Making the All-Star game 8 out of 10 years, like that's the ceiling.
And if he's playing in other ballparks, maybe you would say, hey, let's let him run the table, because if I said the same, again, not the same player, but if I said you could lock Ohtani into 25 homers a year for the next 7 years, you'd say, nah, screw that, man.
Right.
I'll take option B and let it run its course. So I think Cags has that kind of potential. I think as Royals fans, though, we would take that because we've never seen that consistently. I've heard people talk about the same thing with Bobby. If you could lock him into 20 and 20 every year, would you take it with home runs and stolen bases, or would you let it ride and see if he can outperform? So I like that aspect, but I would take it. Very curious though to see what this career looks like, because if he's the potential he's got, having him and Bobby for the next 7 to 10 years, you've got 2 major pieces. Now, I'm going to assume we won't be like the Angels, who have wasted away 2 of the greatest baseball players of all time,
right,
and putting nothing around them. But this window is open right now. You've got a really good pitching staff. Not to put a lot of expectations or pressure on Jack, but if we need him to pan out soon, or the Royals need to go find some other options. And that's where I kind of want to end this episode with was, do you think Cags is enough this season, or is there still a need for 1 or 2 more bats to really get things going?
They definitely need 1 more bat. Like regardless, I don't see this team. This team needs another righty to remove Salvi from the 4th spot. And even if Salvi gets going, I still think that's true, because you just can't. I think if you listen to all the Royals discourse, I think this has been said a lot, but I think it holds true. It's really hard to ask Salvi, who has bad second half numbers his entire career at his age, to be your 4 hitter in August and September. Yeah. So I think you really need a guy that can come in and be hit between Vinny and Cags in that 4 spot. And like, maybe he'll be a true 4 hitter. Maybe it'll be a guy like a Taylor Ward or someone. I keep saying that name because he's just the best option out there for that role.
Right now, an expensive option with the way he's playing.
Right. Yeah, he just hitting extra base hit after extra base hit. I wouldn't be surprised if he has more than like 6 Royals combined with the amount of extra base hits he's been hitting. But like that kind of hitter is still what they really need to lengthen this lap, because then all of a sudden you look down and Indy is your 7 hitter, Waters is your 8 hitter, and Isbell is your 9 hitter. Like, I know those guys haven't been amazing. There's a lot of playoff teams that would be okay with India, Waters, Isbell, how they currently are playing going into the playoffs.
Yep, I like it. Do you think that bat is still an outfield bat, most likely?
Yeah, I do, because I think everywhere else is shirt up. I mean, they traded for India. It's a business. He's been fine. I mean, he hasn't been great, but he's been fine. Garcia's at 3rd. you aren't messing with Bobby and Vinny and Cags in the infield. So it has to be in the outfield / DH.
Yeah. And again, we'll continue to get into those names throughout the rest of the summer. Really, the trade front, there's just not. It's not worth the conversation. Teams aren't gonna move anybody over the next 4 weeks. It's gonna be as we get in July. There's still enough teams that are within contention across Major League Baseball. The 4 or 5 teams at the bottom, they'd be silly to sell now because they know they can just drive that price up as they get to the trade deadline. So doesn't mean that what the Royals have currently isn't enough to get it done, but I feel very confident JJ is looking across the market and has identified 4 to 6 guys that as it gets closer to crunch time, where we make that call and we figure out what it takes to get it done. But Cags is first up. I guess first up. He's next up. We've made a few moves. I think the next one is Michael Massey's probably gonna see a trip to Omaha.
And it's Colbert that would come up for him too, not Devaney or anything like that.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Do you think it's because the fan base wants it to be Devaney, of course?
Yeah. Again,
excitement.
I've said this before. I think it's so funny that Cam Devaney, a 28-year-old career infielder who the Brewers traded for Taylor Clark, who's back on the Royals. Taylor Clark didn't pitch an inning for the Brewers. That was the compensation. And yes, he is doing great in the minors right now. I get it. That can't be your savior, man. I'm sorry.
Hey,
it just can't be your savior.
He could be Whit Merrifield 2.0.
Okay. Yeah, sure. He can be Whit Merrifield because, there's a lot of other examples of Whit Merrifields in the baseball.
But I think you're right. Tyler Tolbert feels like the more realistic move because, one, it gives you that speed option late in the games when you need to. He's a versatile defender, play around the diamond. You're not going to play Devaney enough. With Cags coming up, you're going to see so much more of Indy at second that you're not playing Cam Devaney every day. And if you're not going to give him half to full at bats throughout the week, what's the point? And unless he, you feel like he is going to be a better hitter than India right now, which a career AAA player, like you said, how can you believe that? So, yeah, Tyler Tolbert feels like the next move, unless John Rave's just really struggling after, 2 or 3 weeks. Heck, maybe MJ Melendez will get hot like he did last year, and he's the next outfield bat that comes back up. Wouldn't put my money on it.
Right there.
Wouldn't put my money on it, but you know how he gets in the second half of seasons. He likes to heat up. But anyway, Jac Caglianone up today. Gets his first at-bats tonight in a Royals uniform against the Cardinals. Great opportunity for him to win a lot of points with the fan base early by going out and beating your cross-state rival. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking over the next couple of weeks about what Cags is doing in a Royals uniform. And hopefully this squad, who is 2 games above 500, can chip away, not just at the wild card race, but at the divisional race. And hopefully this boost with Jac Caglianone is enough to get the offense at least to a spot that you can win some more ball games, because the pitching, we might have to spend a whole nother episode just about how insane this pitching is and how Chris Bubich is your Cy Young candidate and not Cole Reagans. So plenty of that to get into. We appreciate you guys always for checking us out over here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at KCSA Pod. And to those of you who listen on Spotify, give us a follow on Spotify. Leave a 5-star review for us. We would appreciate it. You can check Chris out on Twitter as well at 10penny88. You can follow me at Keeganator_11. Chris loves to tweet out all sorts of baseball stuff, and I'm sure over the next 2 weeks I'm going to pressure him to put a lot more Royal stuff out there when it comes to Jac Caglianone, and hopefully it's some highlights of the long ball going over the fence that's out there that the Royals seem to be scared of going over. So maybe we'll see some highlights there.
In Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah. This needs to be like the Sandlot where they want to hit the ball into the neighbor's backyard.
I know what you were wrapping it up, but there was a crazy stat. I don't remember the exact number, but there's 8 hitters that have hit multiple home runs at Kauffman Stadium, and only like 4 of them are Royals, because Ellie De La Cruz did it. The kid from Colorado did it. The catcher from the Reds did. The Stevenson kid, and it's like Vinny, Bobby, Salvi, and Isbell are the only 4 Royals that have done it. It's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully he brings some power. That would be fantastic. But that'll wrap it up on this one. We will continue to talk more Royals as the season progresses. Hit us up on Twitter. Would love to know your guys' thoughts and feelings about this move, expectations for Cags. I'll throw up the tweet about, if you could lock him into this or that stat line. Would love your guys' thoughts. But yeah, appreciate you guys. We will catch you in the next episode.